Good afternoon to each and every one of our merry Marvelites. Welcome to Marvel Movie Talk. Very excited to talk to all of you today. We've got so many of our great friends in the chat at the moment. But as always, I'm Christian Bladt. With us is the one and only
Michael Shirley. You guys know.
Mike Sampson.
Mike Sampson.
Yes, Michael Shirley. And of course, down below, what if your name wasn't at Jeff Will Jr.? And of course, our resident cigar chomping mallard, trapped in a world you didn't make, the one and only Count Eric Connor. That always seemed like a stupid tagline for Howard the Duck. It was like on the comics, it said at the top, trapped in a world he never made. Well, none of us made the world we live in. So let's spend the whole show on that. In any case, we've got a lot of things to talk about, including towards the end of the episode, Cam Egan's talking about it. Is everybody getting excited for Shang-Chi too? I can't wait to see it because I keep hearing what a fantastic origin story it is. And I will tell you, as I tweeted out, with apologies to Public Enemy, believe the hype because it's fantastic. I'll talk a little bit about it a little bit later, but also fantastic, I thought, was this second episode of What If, now streaming on Disney Plus. And oh boy, am I going to not make friends next week when we talk about the third episode. But I want to get everybody's just sort of overall general thoughts. And because I never pick him first, Eric, I'll go right to you. What did you think of episode 2 of What If?
I feel like Christmas came early and I didn't care about it then either because I'm Jewish. I completely agree. I thought this episode was terrific, and I feel like it addressed. It's funny. I mean, obviously they made these all already, but it addressed. I feel like a lot of the things we, as a group, weren't maybe quite as into with the first episode. Like, because the first episode was just sort of, all right, you take out Steve and you put in Peggy, and all of a sudden you've got that what if.
Yeah, that episode should have been called "What If Things Were Only Slightly Different."
Right. Which would be a mouthful, although Jeffrey Wright can make it sound cool. But that's this one, I thought, did a great job of the dominoes kind of hitting. And I love that idea that if it just wasn't Peter Quill, the entire universe could be a better place. Now, of course, it helped that it was, Black Panther and T'Challa, his persona. It weirdly enough, it felt like Ted Lasso married the Marvel universe in terms of this idea of optimism and intelligence and heart could solve a lot of problems, not only in, a soccer team in England, but also the universe.
So there's definitely a Gilligan quality to Peter Quill. It's almost like, well, if it wasn't for him, they would have been able to get the gauntlet off of Thanos' hand in Infinity War, and we could have saved ourselves the 3 hours of painful emotions that was Endgame. But instead, he was mad about his girl, who, let's be honest, she didn't really like him that much. Somebody's microphone or earphones are echoing, and and I guess it's Jeff because he turned them off.
What if he had a working microphone?
I'm not gonna lie, Michael. I was gonna blame you, but only because you've had it happen before.
It's Tennessee stuff too. Yeah. It's Tennessee technology. It's a little different.
Oh, please, y'all.
Yeah, but that's all right. Oh, wait. So now he turned off his.
I'm gonna go get headphones. So
okay. So
I'll go get headphones.
So I'm not going to ask you second. I'll let you go get your headphones. Back. Thank you, Jeff.
Hold on. Let's awkwardly wait for Jeff to come back.
I didn't know.
Here's a better idea.
Let's take me off screen because I was going to turn my camera off.
Okay, sure. But you know what we could do instead is we could hold our breath. We could hold our breath till Jeff comes back. Michael, you have a reputation on the show for not liking anything. Did this fall into that category?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I thought this sucked. Like, I was so not into this episode, like, at all. I'm not.
But let me just ask, compared to last week's episode, did you like the Peggy Carter, the Captain Carter one more than this, or you just didn't like either of them?
It had a better chance because it was number one.
Fair, yeah.
But yeah, just in case you missed it, Jeff, I was just really telling them how much I hated this episode.
He said, you hated it, yeah. But
no,
that's a shock to anybody who's seen
that look of shock on Jeff's face. I will never forget.
Yeah, it's not very shocking. I've never really been a big Guardians of the Galaxy person to begin with. So for me, that was just kind of like, The thing I was most excited for doesn't even matter now because Kate's not here. I was really excited she got to see like the other Nebula, like the favored Nebula.
Yeah, she was talking about that last week, and I decided to not say, well, you might see it really soon. You know, something that I'm like, I don't want to spoil anything, but here's a spoil. So I'm going to pat myself on the back really for keeping my big mouth shut. What's that?
Yeah, I'm sure that was really hard for you, Spider-Ham. Like,
to not brag about how I knew something already. Yeah, it actually was not very easy. And if you're going to refer to me as Spider-Ham, please refer to me as the full comic book name, which of course was Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham. I take great offense to you only calling me Spider-Ham by my code name. So was there anything you liked about this episode, Michael?
I liked that bit about getting to see Nebula from a totally different perspective.
Sure, yeah, that was cool.
Her wig kind of reminded me of one of mine. The one I wore last week, actually. I also enjoyed, like, as you guys were saying, Chadwick Boseman's version of Star-Lord was, like, a lot more like LeVar Burton, like it's all gonna be okay, you guys. And I enjoyed that about it. I thought it was sweet to like have that last little bit from him.
Yeah.
But and I'll say it was kind of cool to see Thanos be on this other end, kind of like helping them.
I think that something that I read, what they said was the idea that Thanos, in changing his mind, became the butt of the joke for fans of Parks and Recreation. They said he became the Jerry Gergich of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And by the way, that was Josh Brolin as Thanos.
I know that I thought was cool.
Because that impressed me because it's like it's a completely different take on the character. You know, for him to just be like, you guys, but
he'll do anything for a buck, like any superhero movie. Like he's like, I'll take all the roles you'll get.
I would love to see him back as Cable, so I'm there on that. But what did you think of this episode, Jeff?
I was in the middle. I came in expecting it to be like a lot better than the first episode. First episode, I was kind of meh on. This one, it was good, but it still wasn't too far off from centered to me. Like it wasn't too far off from like what Star-Lord's story was. I get that like he wasn't as praised, as loved as Peter. I mean, and I'm talking about Peter Quill's Star-Lord wasn't as praised and loved as Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa's version is. But like it wasn't too far off because like all we did was take the Black Panther that we know from his childhood and then kind of just like I don't know. I guess I was expecting something different in the fact that like I thought there was gonna be total different stories, not a different person telling us a similar story in what we already seen. But I mean, there's still a lot to be told. We didn't even see Peggy Carter in this, and supposedly she's gonna be meeting like all the different iterations of people. So like once things connect, it might hit differently. But right now, I'm not totally sold on it.
Weren't we saying last week that we thought all these were individual little stories that weren't
little universes? Well, yeah, I think that
I'm not thinking that anymore.
Well, the connective tissue, as it were, is definitely the Watcher seeing all of these things, so he knows about all this stuff. And then obviously the ending of this episode shows the fact that they're going to revisit these universes, the fact that that was actually Kurt Russell as Ego at the end, means that clearly they've got plans to do that episode. By the way, Peter Quill working as a janitor basically at a Wendy's is probably what he was destined for.
Dairy Queen, I think it was.
Oh yeah, you're right. Of course, because that's from Guardians
that's a big
too.
Step, and it's also a big step up from Wendy's.
I was just thinking about. Yeah, I think so.
They got breakfast now at Wendy's.
Well, you know what? And you can't get breakfast at Dairy Queen.
Blizzards
I had Wendy's for lunch.
Well, see, that must be why. That must be how I knew.
Wendy's Williams.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I thought that that was fun that we got to see that. But I know what you're saying. I think that the idea that each one of these is its own universe, it has to be, because just too many things would change if Peggy Carter had been Captain Carter, and then later T'Challa gets, plucked away, and then other stories will not be able to exist in the universe of the terrible third episode, which, by the way, I have a feeling all of a sudden, Michael, you are going to love the third episode.
I was having that same feeling, and I was like, Christian likes this episode. Like,
I don't know what the third one's about yet.
I
know, and I couldn't explain what the third one's about without going too into detail.
Yeah, you don't want to get knocked off that
but it does have sound-alike actors from some actual characters that we're used to. There's a couple of those. Yeah,
is it all hacky imitations of like Chris Walken and Peter Falk, and just like all the sort of like low-hanging fruit of bad imitations?
Yeah. Here's my brother with a hot political take. Once Josh Brolin played George W. Bush, there was no way anyone else could be Thanos. So you can, if you disagree with that, you can direct that at my. Yes. I don't imagine that someone is pretending to be my brother.
You had any siblings. I just figured if there were any, you'd have like done away with them so you could have all the attention.
No, I mean, I've essentially done that. I mean, you've noticed that
he's in here watching you, so
you've noticed that neither my brother nor sister have ever been on any of my shows. So
you need the spotlight square in the middle.
I assume you resorbed them in the womb.
You're assuming they're triplets. Like, that's weird.
By the way, Craig Robinson said they had Cap's shield in this episode, so they must be different. I think every episode is different. I mean, the What If comic books all they all existed in their own universe. I think for sure. There was are
we really supposed to wait around for Hawkeye and Nick Fury and like Peter Quill like for a year?
What do you mean?
You'll be excited about all these little bitty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not necessarily excited for it, but it could be later this season. We don't really know. You know what I mean? Like, there's 10 episodes in the season, and so next week will be a third of the way through it. But I think that this was fun, and I think that the best what if stories. You don't have the consequences of it's like, oh yeah, but what if Thanos was just kind of like that one friend you all have at the table that everybody makes fun of, and he takes it good naturedly and doesn't try and murder anyone, so I think that it can be fun when your stakes are really like, you can literally do anything you want, because at the end of the half hour you don't have to tell stories in this universe next week unless for some reason you wanted to, But
I think that might be the problem. Like they're already planning to have to like create more with these stories, so it can't go like wild down like the rabbit hole and get like real crazy like Dark Phoenix eats the universe. Like
it can. I mean, every week Dark Phoenix could eat the universe, and it could be It could be what if Kitty Pryde was Dark Phoenix, and then she'll eat the universe because that's what Phoenix does, But I think that I don't know. I think my expectations for this show are that it's kind of lighthearted, little bite-sized stories because they're only half an hour, and then when you tune in for the next episode, you don't have to bring anything with you from the earlier one, other than, of course, Jeffrey Wright is the watcher. But Eric, do you have any sort of nagging things that you actively disliked about this? And also the same, I'll ask both you and Jeff, compared to last week's Captain Carter episode, Eric, you did like this one more or about the same, or?
Oh, yeah, for me, much more. I'm sticking with the left half of our square here in terms of enjoyment of this episode. Like, I really thought it was great. It was a wonderful love letter to Chadwick Boseman. Weird nagging thing. They got Carrie Coon, who is, if you don't know her work, she Leftovers season 3.
She was on a season of Fargo, right?
Right. She's amazing. Yeah. And she shows up as Proxima Midnight. Did she have any lines besides grunting? Which
no,
I'm okay with.
A review that I read said she had more lines in this episode than she did in the MCU proper, because they probably just cut out everything that she did. Well, I do know the thing that you obviously liked, because it is on your display, or your on-screen Chiron, if you were, is the fact that we got a little bit from Howard the Duck. Also voiced by Seth Green.
Classic get.
I cannot see what I'm looking at.
The collector's vault.
The collector's vault, and in there,
I bought this for my kids.
Like legitimately bought it for your kids. But where's
That's
Howard
cool.
in there?
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. It's funny because he just looks like he looks like a Darkwing Duck action figure that they just stretched out. By the way, of course, Daniel Drew's like, I have that. So Daniel.
That is from the What If show.
And Daniel says, I bought that for me. He did not buy it. He did not buy it for your kids, Eric.
I have Robert Kopp 2 over there, which will come and make an appearance. That's very much for me. My son looked at it, he goes, I like it. I'm like, well, you could like it from afar. But I thought this episode did so much of what I look for in What If. As a fan of the comic, I really, as a kid, I loved reading What Ifs. And I understand it's sort of weird that there's a cap to them, because it is, just every week is its own little thing, and maybe they'll do some crossover. So I agree, you're right. It's like it could only go so big, but in some ways that's why I read What If comics. Like, it was nice to read something that was a standalone that didn't require reading across multiple titles over the course of months to really appreciate. So I like them as short stories, which is what it is. And I think this one did a nice job of changing enough. I totally get what you're saying, Jeff. It is a bit close to the Star-Lord sort of setup, with just sort of swapping out a couple of key characters. But yet at the same time, I love the themes of, imagine if a different guy was Star-Lord, what could have happened to an entire universe. And I thought that was a nice story. And it really, I know he's going to be in a few more episodes, but that last line about, our friend, our king, whatever, to Chadwick Boseman, that shook me up a little. I thought it was a wonderful look. Just a little. Not as much as, I don't know, doing the show without Michael Shirley, but it choked me up.
Yeah, that was tough. I think that was very emotional. Right. That was emotional for all of us. And honestly, I know, Eric, that you read the What If comics because you always wanted to know what if Wolverine was Lord of the Vampires, and thank God they answered that question for you, because if they hadn't,
kept me up at night.
Yeah. So Jeff, you were kind of in the middle on this one. Did you feel that it worked better within the concept of What If than the Captain Carter episode? Or was that one a little bit more your speed? And also any big complaints from this one?
No, it was definitely better than the Captain Carter episode. I feel like that last episode really not just like kind of stole beat for beat what Captain America was. This one was cool because, like you said, we saw Thanos being the butt of jokes. We saw T'Challa interacting with other characters that we never see him interact with, and storylines that we've never seen. It just seemed a little too similar. Maybe not as Small World, but like you said, it's only a 35 minute short story. So it is, as you get what you get. But with that said, I love the visuals. Like I think this is visually, it's really cool. The colors are cool. The way they draw him, the way they draw the whole world, I thought it was really cool. Although I'm watching it on like a fairly decent sized screen, and like it's like 4K, but I think it's visually it's really cool. So I do like the style. At first it had to grow on me, but like I'm episode 2 and I really like it.
Yeah, I do like the visual style. It is a little bit unique. I do think it looks cool in that sense. Michael, how do you feel about sort of the visuals? Apart from the storytelling, do you feel like you would rather it be more? Would you prefer claymation? I always know you were a Gumby and Pokey guy.
Yeah. I don't want to say it because Eric hates it when I say it. It's just a little doughy. I thought Benicio del Toro was like super ripped like today when I watched it. I was like, he's a lot bigger than he was in the movie, but whatever. It's on that note of like the visual style, I keep trying to figure out who is this geared for? Like, is this geared? Are they? I kind of feeling like they're gearing it for everyone, but it still feels a little dumbed down for me as like a 16-year-old. So,
Yes, I know what you're saying. And let's see, we have Daniel. People online are loving Korath's fanboying of T'Challa. That actually was very funny. And Craig loved the Black Panther themes plugged in at places. But back to Daniel, got to have a talking Cosmo at some point in the MCU, who I believe that's the dog, the astronaut dog. It's weird that they didn't have him talking. In the Guardians cartoon, he was a recurring character, so people wouldn't be confused. I think we could see more of that.
The fanboying was so funny. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was just like a good change of pace, and it was so fun. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. And I think that it's and that's really what this one was. This is the most fun of the 3 episodes that I've seen, and I hope that episodes 4 through 10 are more like this than either of the other 2. And I do wonder if this season we will get sequel episodes or follow-ups. So I guess we will have to see what we get with all of that. In a moment, I wanted to talk a little bit about where I was this afternoon and why we're doing the show an hour early. But Daniel Drew wanted to say happy 50th episode of Marvel Movie Talk. And he's letting us know that our legacy numbering would make this episode 333. I honestly thought this was episode 53. Daniel, did you not count the special movie episodes? Let's get the numbering down pat for next week. I'll compare notes with you, but I trust you more than I trust my own ability to count. But I think that the YouTube channel has, I think this is the 53rd video, and that tag, as it were. So before we talk about Shang-Chi, the movie, and I will not talk about it in a spoilery way because one, I'm not allowed to, but 2, I don't want to get too in depth and I don't want to ruin any of the fun for people to see it. But I wanted to first talk about, we were talking before we got started with the show today that there were these comments from Disney. Is his name Bob Chapek? How do you say his name? The Chappaquiddick? Bob Chappaquiddick.
I think it's an interesting experiment we're doing here with this property.
Did I hear a briefcase opening? So the comment, he was saying sort of this release of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings as a theatrical only and not dual release for the Disney Plus Premier Access. He referred to it as an experiment, and the way that we're all taking it is that the experiment is with the style of release. That we're going to see how this does, and then we'll see if we move Eternals, if we do a hybrid release of Eternals. Or if we just stop putting our movies out and then they, they sell each of them to one person, like the Wu-Tang album that Martin Shkreli owned, that he was the only one who had. So just one person's going to own these movies, and that's fine because they'll buy it for like $2 billion. And what do we care?
What are those digital whatever T's or
what's that?
Where you own the internet properties? What's that?
NFTs?
NFTs.
NFT movie.
Yeah, yeah, it would be sort of an NFT, so I believe the lead, Shang-Chi himself, I believe you say the actor's name Simu Liu, but if I'm not saying it right, then somebody will cancel me for sure. But he took umbrage at that because he's like, we're not an experiment. And, he also kind of spoke out about the way that the Netflix series he was on ended, and making the valid point that they took the one white character to do as a spinoff from an all Asian cast. So, he's certainly somebody who's spoken his mind before. So I think that, maybe we seem to think he took it the wrong way. Let us know in the chat if you took it the way he did. But Cami Egan says, I think Chadwick is digging himself into a bigger and bigger hole with his comments. And I heard he wasn't even at the premiere of the film. I wouldn't know because I wasn't there, but our friend Coy was there. I saw that he was there.
It must have been hard for you to just say.
Coy got a picture with Kevin Feige. So if you follow him on social media, you get to see that. And I believe, Eric, you did not get a picture with Kevin Feige, but you have a picture of one of your kids with him, right?
Yeah, there's video footage of me with him, but yeah.
Okay, that's good enough.
But I did get a picture of my son asking him lots of very specific questions about why Doctor Strange gave up the stone to Thanos. And God bless him, he listened to the whole damn question and answered it.
I mean, what percentage of Kevin Feige's life do you think is that conversation? I mean, it's
too much.
Yeah, exactly. But on that note, here's the latest work of art from our friend Eric. What if I watched movies with regular people? And I love the fact that you've grabbed a picture of me holding a microphone and wearing a Digital Underground shirt. So that means that is a photo of me singing Humpty Dance karaoke. Because that would be that's the only photo of that exists, is me with a microphone.
My favorite thing Eric's made.
Well, I'm glad you like it so much.
I mean, and also let's take a moment to remember Humpty Hump.
That's true. Gone too soon. Shock G. I agree. And as I said at the time, we all know that he's getting busy in that Burger King bathroom up in the sky, and Cami Egan loves it. But the best thing about Cami Egan's comment is that it covers up Eric. Can't even talk straight. There he is.
I always get the Monsters Inc. slot. I don't know, every time. It's great. I really love it.
You should. So I don't know. I mean, I think that it seems like Simu Liu might be a little overly sensitive about that. And I mean, I think he is, look, he's the first Asian superhero that we're going to get. And so I think, I mean, in a movie,
bitch.
In a movie, as I just said,
okay,
not on Netflix. Okay, that's on Netflix, and she never achieved her potential.
What about Scarlett Johansson? Hold on, Scarlett Johansson.
You know what? You're right. I forgot. Scarlett Johansson identifies as Asian. I did forget about that.
Yeah.
Because of the three movies where she stole the lead from of an Asian character.
That's hilarious. It's not, but
yeah. But that's
it doesn't count. Jeff's right. It doesn't count.
Yeah. Jeff's right. He's absolutely right. But and I think that it's I don't know. I think that the reality of it is, we barely touched on it, but Venom 2, There Will Be Carnage, or Let There Be Carnage. I think it should be called and There Will Be Carnage, and it will be a shot-for-shot remake of And There Will Be Blood, but it's just Woody Harrelson digitally inserted into the movie. That moved to August 14th or 16th, but the rumblings are that that's just a placeholder, and they're going to move it further into next year. And this poor damn James Bond movie, they're like, we're just going to put it out because, for God's sake, enough already,
Wait.
But it's going to be a big test that this movie is only coming out that way. Free Guy did very well, better than Surprise. It surprised everybody, but it still made like $28 million. They just didn't think it was going to make nearly that much. And I don't know if anybody saw it. But if anybody has seen it, you do understand why I told Marvel fans to definitely check it out. There's some cool stuff in there, and we'll still leave it at that because it is still only available to see in theaters. But I don't know. I mean, I think that it's always evolving, and I think, look, if people stop going to the movies in large numbers, then Eternals definitely won't come out, and Venom 2 won't come out, this year. But I think that the decisions to put them out when they did were made, a couple months ago, where people in general, the confidence of going to movie theaters was much higher. But I don't know where Michael, you hate to go in the movies at any point in existence. So it's a really a non-issue for you.
Greasy handlebars. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think if he's going to be like that about it, he needs to talk to the other Asian lead, Scarlett Johansson. Because she's like, no, get my shit off Disney Plus, you bunch of
that's
thieves.
True.
Yeah, it's funny to me because they're both complaining about the opposite thing.
Yeah,
when I think about it, I'm like, whatever. She got like so much money. It's like $30 to watch that stupid movie, like on Disney Plus, like in your own like apartment on your like laptop, like like I don't know. I wish we could talk more about that, but I think it's really funny how it's very in line with or not in line with what he's wanting. The biggest problem I think about the movie is that like it's not really being promoted like a normal Marvel movie. I don't feel that it's.
What you mean? Shang-Chi is not being promoted like a normal. Yeah.
My mom was like, "What's that?" I'm like,
"Yeah,
right there."
Great point.
All
from
my
my brother.
Does is watch TV.
How many issues of Power Man and Iron Fist did I read and not realize Iron Fist was white? I mean, I guess he does have the mask on, so it's it just depends on the issues that you read. But I think that if this does well, and it just depends on by the time that Eternals comes out, a lot more people will have their their third shot. I'm looking to get 5 or 6 shots by the end of the year. I'm going to see if they'll just let me get one every week. It's fine.
But it's not good for you.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
You get a heart attack.
Abomination.
Because your body starts like fighting itself.
All right. Fine. I'll only get 3. All right, Michael, I'm only going to get 3 more. Okay?
Listen, Peter,
I'll stop.
Christian, you're going to have a bunch of them nanobots in your blood if you get too many of them.
Well, I already have a 5G plate in my head, so that's not any different than before. So that'll be fine.
I saw Suicide Squad once, and I'm not letting them inject anything in me now. Not doing it.
For you?
Yeah.
But is this gonna blow up my head? No.
By the way,
No, we're good.
I am glad that you brought up Suicide Squad, because that is something that they're pointing to in terms of, we'll see what's going on with the box office. But I mean, that's like, you don't even have to spend Disney Plus Premier Access money to get Suicide Squad. It's just, do you have HBO Max? Great. Then you have it, or you'll spend $15 to subscribe for the month and get it. So it's I think it's the business side is just, anybody who posts box office returns and says, see, this movie's a failure, is being very disingenuous about it, because I think you're not looking at it in a vacuum, just in terms of here's the dollar amount, and this is the smallest Marvel opening ever. But there's extenuating circumstances. When you hear all this stuff, Eric, what do you think it means for the business side, but also just like, if movie theaters can be open, they do have to show something on those screens,
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like Free Guy made was like 28 million or something like that.
Yeah.
But yet they are considering it a success. Like they
Yes.
are already moving forward with a sequel. And if you see the film's pretty good. Jeff, I'm curious what you thought about it too. But I thought it was actually pretty fun. Saw it with my kids.
Yeah, I liked it.
They don't understand the joke about the sock. And for those who've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those who haven't, I'll let your mind run wild. That means you might.
It's running.
But I think these numbers right now, it's funny. It almost reminds me of the 90s. Because remember, that was box office returns in the mid 90s. Like, when they came out, a big hit was like 20 million and change. And so I think like right now, it's like the numbers in some ways, they don't fucking matter, because there's no way to sense of like, what does that mean? People like this? Does that mean it has legs? Like, is this a property? And I think, the handling of Free Guy has been smart. It hasn't been reactionary. They didn't freak out. They said, okay, we got to release it one of these days, and maybe we'll take a hit up front. But there was such a strong reaction to it, I felt, that it's like, they're saying, okay, we're going to move forward. I mean, we have this property. It's done. It's not going to get any better the longer we keep it in deep freeze. So release it. The numbers won't be as great, but it will find its audience eventually, and it will even find its money eventually, which I think is what's going to happen with Shang-Chi, even if it only opens to 30 million and change.
Right. And Daniel, yes, I did misspeak. It's October 15th that Venom comes out. I think he probably listens closer than I do to my own self, because
it would be a good Halloween movie.
Yeah, I mean, that actually makes more sense. Morbius was supposed to come out for Halloween, but that ain't happening. So you might as well use this. But I think I said August earlier. But yeah, so October is where Venom got pushed to. But again, just for now. And yeah, look, I was talking to my wife after we saw the movie, after we saw Shang-Chi, and it's like, when it comes to the box office, they're going to interpret it however they want. If they want to make another one, they will. I mean, the first Ant-Man wasn't a huge success. It's plenty of money from, in terms of the economics of the world, but they made another one. And I think that they will make another one of these at some point. But I think you'll probably see the character elsewhere first. It's sort of helped with Ant-Man as well. But I think that there probably is a floor where if it like opens to like $12 million, then they're going to be worried. But I think that a lot of people will be excited about it. And part of the reason, I mean, the movie comes out in 3 weeks. This is very early for a press screening that I went to, or the premiere being last night. I think that they're going to rely more on word of buzz than they have in the past, because this is a theatrical only release. And, but I don't know. What do you think, Jeff, in terms of, interpreting this, what the business part of it could mean for movies for the rest of 2021?
Yeah. Two things on the marketing side, and I don't want to come off as insensitive or biased or anything in that manner. But when I tell you this, I've talked to so many different people in like the last couple months. You saw trailers for Shang-Chi, and you also saw trailers for Snake Eyes. And the fight sequences, the way they promoted it, a lot of it was there wasn't too much disparity between the two. And when I asked people, I was like, yo, are you excited for Shang-Chi? They thought it was coming out a couple months ago, or they thought they saw a trailer and got the trailers confused. So to that notion, the marketing wasn't great for this film.
Yeah,
And,
but thanks to Paramount, that Snake Eyes was out of theaters in basically 2 weeks, and I believe today it's available on Paramount Plus. So you're not going to
yeah,
get confused about it anymore. Basically,
I'm getting.
I mean, but you still have you're still like, okay, that looks similar to a movie that just came out in theaters, but there's no correlation to him being an Avenger. Like
yeah,
when we saw Captain Marvel, we at least saw Samuel L. Jackson. We saw
true.
something that like clicked. Okay, this is gonna be in a bigger picture. There's promotion around this. We had to deal with COVID. What's his name? Black Widow barely got a promotion. Her promotion was like scattered over 2.5 years. So they like found a way and fitted a way into promoting Shang-Chi. And I just think it was kind of lackluster for all the hype it should have around it.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Michael?
My mind is drawing a blank now. That was really got me there, though. Sorry, come back.
That's all right. And I think it'll be interesting to see the hype for this ramp up, especially because the early reactions have been positive. And again, it's 3 weeks from, I guess, tomorrow will be the earliest screenings. So I think that'll probably really build up over the course of time. Yes, Michael.
When he was talking about the marketing of the movie, like I'm getting major Sonic the Hedgehog, Jim Carrey like vibes from like The Rings, like with everything. I don't know if it's just me. Really like that movie.
I did not see the Sonic movie, but
you didn't.
No, I definitely had the thought that you're talking about when I saw it. It made me think of Sonic for a moment. Daniel's referring to something that's in the trailer, so it's not, because Daniel has, as far as I know, Daniel hasn't seen the movie, so it's not really a spoiler. This is something that from the trailer. It's been too long since people saw Abomination. He's in the trailer or one of the TV commercials, and the scene with Wong is too quick. So I think that it's just, and to be honest, seeing, even if Wong was in the whole trailer, it's not like seeing Sam Jackson. You know what I mean? You don't think about it. And Daniel, your comment there is an actual spoiler. So that is something that I'll talk about when the movie's out. There's something that I felt was spoiled. Though. Okay, well, I didn't know until I saw something earlier this week. That's something that he referenced. So I will not put it up on the screen. But in any case, Michael, were you trying to talk? And I was talking over you.
Jeff's trying to say something.
Who is?
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff. Okay.
I forgot what it was.
Obviously, I mistake the two of you because you look so similar.
It's the hair.
No, I think it was just going off of the point where there was no recognizable faces on the promotions, and even like as soon as I saw the Aquafina part in the truck that looked like they were in San Francisco, I was like, okay, so this is just an Ant-Man trailer. Like this literally is just stealing the beats off of Ant-Man. It has the comedy of Ant-Man. They're like, okay, we're gonna do a little action, and then really just like sell you with the comedy. And that's how it felt. And I'm like, okay, so I don't have high expectations at the moment, but I am now that I'm hearing good things from it. But like with that trailer, it just gave me Ant-Man vibes, and I was not a huge fan.
No, I can see that. And it's interesting because you were talking about the trailer, and I'm like, yeah, it's funny because like Aquafina is the most recognizable person in the main cast. If the above the line people, she's really the most famous. So I hadn't really thought of that, but and so. In any case, I considered myself to be somewhat excited for it because of the idea that, and again, I'm not going to talk about it in any even like remotely spoilery way, but my excitement for it was like, oh, I think this will be cool. We'll get an Asian character in the MCU. We're gonna have he's gonna have his own movie, but in all honesty, it's not a character that I had any connection to. And it's funny. I was explaining to my wife, it's like, it's a good thing that that they didn't adapt this for a movie in the 70s, because he was known as the master of kung fu. I mean, it's Shang-Chi : the master of kung fu, and there's something very dated about that. But in any case, Daniel, I'm not. You're not in trouble with me for saying it. It is out there, but I'm just pointing out that I'm not going to say that something that you commented, because I didn't know it until this week. But in any case, you're not. You don't have to apologize to us. And
you need to apologize to Craig Robinson.
Well, Craig Robinson didn't see the same thing I saw. So. But that's the other thing too, by the way, with this movie not coming out for 3 weeks, there's a couple of things that I think will be spoiled, and it'll be too bad, because there's so much time between now and then, and it's, it can be hard to avoid those. But at some point, people are just going to find out that Bruce Willis was a ghost the whole time, and it's going to really shape the way that, and Kevin Spacey was Kaiser Soze. So I'm just giving you all the spoilers right now. But I think that the most consistent thing that people are hearing about it is the fight sequences are really well done, and that is absolutely true. There are some, one of them being in the trailer is, it's like an accordion, like double bus, not a truck, but that sequence is one of the best fight sequences that I've seen in a while. And then there's another one, probably in the first, 40 minutes of the movie, but they're great. They're well done. It's
Michael
the opposite. It's the opposite of how we saw this guy on Netflix. It's the opposite of the Iron Fist show. And I know and I'll always be an Iron Fist apologist, but I do know what the weaknesses were of that. And I think he's great, and the cast in general is great. There's I think Marvel has always done the origin movies very well. I think that their best movies, as much as I like the other Captain America movies, the first one is still my favorite of all the MCU movies. As fun as Ragnarok is, I think that the first Thor is also great. We don't talk about Dark World. We just don't. That's just where I'm at. But and I think that this is very consistent in that way. And there's some cool mythology to it, and I'm excited to see, in the future, getting the opportunity to see this character interact with, some of our other heroes, even if it's, this fourth phase, if it's new characters we haven't met yet, just figuring out how to incorporate him into it. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. And very interested in people getting the opportunity to see the movie. Cami Egan has a question that I feel like if I were to answer it, that would tie into spoilering. But I'll just say yes to Cami Egan, and she'll know what I'm talking about, and I won't put it on the screen. And this is a very niche answer.
Did they do recasting?
I don't know that there's recasting. We'll just leave it at that. But I know how much you hate recasting, except for
Ben Kingsley, the Mandarin.
In Iron Man 3. In Iron Man 3, he's an actor who pretends to be the Mandarin.
And he was on the stage yesterday with all the actors. I thought that was supposed to be a spoiler as well, but
that's the thing I've been trying to not talk about for the last 10 minutes. Yeah, he was at the premiere.
It's out there.
The fact that he was at the premiere. Yeah. No, I know. As soon as he was at the premiere, I'm like, what are you doing inviting Gandhi to the premiere? But
the thing is, he was on there was a photo leak of Shang-Chi, and I saw him on there, and I was like, okay, that's spoiled for me. And then when I saw him at the premiere yesterday, I'm like, so they just said, well, he's spoiled, so let's just show everybody
here's my it's not even a spoiler, but here's a tease for the movie. There's somebody who was not at the premiere that would have been a spoiler. So
Ooh.
something to look forward to.
That could be anyone.
Yes,
But
it's
I'm
actually
happy.
it's
That could
actually
be
Michael
you.
Shirley. Michael
be you.
Shirley is in the movie.
Is it the bank manager from Falcon
from
and Winter
Falcon-
Soldier?
yes. Look,
No.
he's getting his own show, and he's got more back end points than Scarlett Johansson did, so it's going to be a problem. Yeah, my brother actually wants to know if he's the one in the movie, and yes, obviously it's you. But I don't know. I'm excited for everybody to see it because look, any of these movies, if you're looking for it, you can find something to complain about. But and I thought that one of the because Michael, you're always looking, so you can always find something. But I thought the interesting thing that my wife said after we saw it was that it's something that you heard after Black Panther was just, for those that don't know, my wife's Chinese American. I guess I should be specific, but if she would have loved to have had this movie when she was a kid, and I heard the same thing about Black Panther. It's like, oh, if only, we had this when I was a kid. And I think that that's definitely true. But it's like, you didn't even get, Wonder Woman back then. It's like the strides we've made in that sense, I think, is great. And that's how you end up getting, you get a big movie like Black Panther, and you're getting this Shang-Chi movie. And, and I know it's going to be TV, but we're going to have a Muslim American superhero in Ms. Marvel, and I think it's great for people who feel like, oh, look, it's somebody who looks like me, and obviously I never needed that because I'm so handsome. I felt like Superman looked like me already, so I didn't.
I finally got it when Thor gained weight. I finally had I could see myself up there.
Yeah. I think that Cami Egan's talking about what I will tell everyone. There is a mid-credit scene and an end-credit scene, but you should always assume that with every Marvel movie, you should always assume that. And Cami Egan, I will say yes to the question part of your statement, but yeah. So, and you could tell, I told Jeff that a couple of our AfterBuzz friends, Roxy and Steph, were there as well, and they knew to stay to the end. But you have your more casual critics who are like, "Oh, credits start, time to get out of here." And the people that are actually fans of these movies are like, "Well, obviously we can't leave until the very end credits." I love this from Ghost 8386. Shang-Chi fan since 1993. And there is a pretty funny bit in the movie about how you pronounce the name, and it is definitely Shang. It is definitely Shang, but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think that Jeff, you kind of said you had some degree of excitement, but you're hearing good things, so it's making you more excited for it. That's sort of what you were saying before, right, Jeff?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm very excited for it now. I think hearing all the good things about it and just being the excitement that this is phase 4 in its entirety, that we're not like somewhat in phase 4. We're not a TV show. We're not Black Widow from the past. This is phase 4 and we're kind of moving forward. I'm excited for that. And kind of to your notion about representation and everything, and how this is like opening the door for that and showcasing that to a lot of Asian American or Asians around the world, Asian people around the world. I kind of feel I'm upset because this is not in a non-COVID era. Because when Black Panther came out, it was like, not trying to overplay it or whatever, it seemed like a cultural phenomenon for Black people and for people in general, because you were showcasing a whole Black cast in a whole different world on the biggest scope you can in a Marvel movie, and in a great light, and it was an amazing movie. I'm assuming we're going to get the same type of quality of a movie in Shang-Chi. We're not going to get that same quality of experience because we're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with people that don't even want to go to the movie theaters because of vaccinations and so many other issues. So I'm upset about that, but I'm excited for the movie.
Yeah, and I think that it is almost an entirely Asian cast. You can count on this hand how many non-Asians are really featured, more than just in the background in the course of this movie. So,
do we know about the crew? Is it largely?
I don't. That
was a big thing for Black Panther as well.
Yeah, a lot of this was shot in Australia, and I think a big part of that is because they shot it in. They shot. I think they shot maybe all of it or most of it during the pandemic. That's why, because there was production in Australia. Thor: Love and Thunder was shot there for I think the same reason. So Eric, as the buzz continues for Shang-Chi, are you getting more excited for it? And you went to see Free Guy, so that leads me to believe that you would feel comfortable actually going to see this movie in the theater, or is it cruise on with the top down to the drive-in, or what are your thoughts?
I think we would do the theater again. We did that for Free Guy. It wasn't a drive-in. Our thing we actually told the kids, and this broke their little hearts. Sorry, guys, no snacks. And they're like, what? What are I supposed to do to a movie? No popcorn. I'm like, because they're going to avoid COVID and see this movie. And I know you like popcorn, but I hate COVID more than you love popcorn. So
maybe that's true for your kids, but there's no way you hate COVID more than I love popcorn. It's not possible.
So, totally excited. I was looking up tickets last night, and it was great to say actually that tickets are already selling. It's funny, by the way, I wanted to bring up Flock of Seagulls of all things, because they ended the episode of What If with Space Age Love Song by Flock
It's true, they did.
One of my absolute favorite songs from the 80s. And then the same weekend that Shang-Chi comes out, Lost 80s Live is happening in Los Angeles featuring Flock of Seagulls. So everything's coming up Flock of Seagulls. I take this as good power from the universe saying, go see this movie in the theater. Double mask, triple mask, don't drink a soda, don't eat a popcorn, don't even pee. And just, I'm beyond excited. My kids are excited about it. And what you were saying too before, Jeff, about the phenomenon of Black Panther, even, for me too, I remember taking my kids and realized at one point, my younger son said, how come everyone, and he was like, however many years ago it was. So he's 10 now. So what, 6, 7 then? He goes, how come everyone in this movie has black skin? And I realized, like, geez, I have been failing this kid. I got to show him a lot more diverse stuff. But I thought the importance of him seeing that movie, like you're saying, it's important for everyone. And my friend told me even like their church was telling people to go see Black Panther when it came out. And so you're right. Shang-Chi is more than just a movie in its own way too. And I think I do feel terrible that COVID is sort of gonna mute the numbers a bit. It's gonna mute the excitement a bit, but I do think like when people, and it sounds like people really click with this film, it will find its audience, and it will in the idea that we will then see more, and not just more of the character and the performers, but to your point, Michael, also more of the people behind the camera, more representation on that side of it, which has been Hollywood has been so freaking slow with. So that's the stuff that's really important too.
Daniel agrees with Eric. I wish it was normal times because you would get those crazy numbers in seats. And Kemi Egan makes the point: Black Panther was a cultural phenomenon. It deserved to make all the money because it was great. And I think in that sense, this film has a lot in common with Black Panther in that it's, it has the representation, but then it's also a good movie, and it's a story that it's hard to not get wrapped up and be excited in. And Kemi Egan, I must be the only person on this planet that hates movie theater popcorn. Yes, you are. There is no one else on earth who feels that way. I was very upset at the screening because it's the small little box of popcorn and not the bucket. And by the way, for maybe you don't treat the kids to this, but Eric, if you take them to the movie, obviously you've considered the popcorn feed bag that you just strap onto your face, and at no time do you have to take it off during the movie. I feel like I've
that look for 30 plus years. So yeah, why should this day be any different? I don't care about COVID for that.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and then because he's from across the pond, Craig talks about Shang-Chi would only be funny to him being a Brit, but any of us who've seen Austin Powers can find Shang-Chi actually pretty funny. Michael, when I think 45 days after the release, it'll be available on Disney Plus. Do you feel like you'll check it out so you can keep up on the MCU and how he'll factor into it? Or will you just wait like, oh, he's going to be in, I don't know, some
Avengers 10.
Yeah, he's going to be in Avengers 5. So I need to see it. Like my wife has still never seen Doctor Strange, but I feel like before Doctor Strange 2. Yeah. Well,
we should make them hang out and go see it together.
I think that's a great idea, and then we can just go hang out and eat popcorn out of feed bags. But I don't know. At some point, do you think that you'll see it just to kind of be up, because you don't want to miss an issue of an important series.
Yeah, I mean, this is Marvel movie talk.
Yeah.
I'll see it. I'll watch pretty much anything on Disney Plus when it comes to Marvel.
I mean, look, I got you to see New Mutants, so obviously.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's going to make more money than Shang-Chi.
New Mutants? I don't think it's possible.
I will put a bet towards that.
It was like huge numbers for that movie because of the time in which it came out. It was like the only thing you could see except that stupid like movie where the guys are doing the same. Yeah.
And I don't say this to be controversial. It's not a hot take for the sake of a hot take. I enjoyed New Mutants so much more than Tenet. So but that's mostly because Lockheed was in it. But
Eric's really unhappy.
So the gross for New Mutants, its worldwide total is $48.1 million.
Yeah.
So its US gross is $23.8 million. So then the real question will be if
okay. Whatever.
I was just showing Eric who's boss.
It's fine. I need to be put in that place.
This will be the real question. Can Shang-Chi open higher than the total gross for New Mutants? $48.1 million. Can Shang-Chi open to $48.2 million? So the Vegas line is set at 48.1. Michael, are you taking the over or the under?
Well, I mean, I kind of said it. It's got to be.
I know, but I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, under.
Okay, Jeff?
I'm going over. Marvel is definitely going to beat Free Guy and double it. So we're going to at least get 45.
What? I don't know.
Yes.
Well, it's a 3-day weekend for whatever that's worth,
Oh yeah.
So if you get to count Thursday and Labor Day, you're giving yourself a fighting chance. Cammie Egan has taken the over. What do you think? Count Eric Connor.
Joey.
Count Doey if you nasty. I'm gonna take the over because it's a long weekend, but otherwise with a 3-day weekend, I think it would still be under just because there is such a hesitation. I mean, even like Fast and Furious numbers weren't that great. So but I think with the long weekend it'll do it.
Yeah. By the way, I know that movie theaters are indoors, but I will point to the fact that last week 90,000 people went and saw Garth Brooks. So the hesitancy is what it is amongst certain groups of people in certain places. But we'll have to see. I guess I'll go on record because I want to be optimistic, and I'll say that it'll also take the over. But if it doesn't make more than $48.1 million, I think we're going to see Venom and Eternals move to 2022. Obviously a different genre, but Paramount has already moved the Clifford the Big Red Dog movie out of September. So I don't know what else we're going to say.
That.
Yeah.
It's like your benchmark.
Yeah. My brother makes a salient point here. Garth Brooks and Shang-Chi have a huge overlap.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And this is something that's featured in the credits. R.I.P. Brad Allen, who I believe is a martial arts expert there in Australia. He is, I think he's in the movie. But if not, I know that he was credited with and R.I.P. There. I think it was like in memoriam of him. In any case, to end on that note is always the way to go. We usually
in memorial.
We always do
Let
that.
the train come to a slow stop and then fall over.
That's what we do. Yeah. I know, but that's all right. We've gone more than an hour, and people have all this eye candy to look at for the course of the last hour. So let's let them calm down. And Kemi Egan has a great comment to my brother. Garth Brooks is the Mandarin. Spoiler. That's what I was trying to not say from the movie, that Garth Brooks is actually the Mandarin, but it just looked weird that he had the cowboy hat on. Anyway, I am very excited to talk to everybody next week because I'm going to definitely rewatch it because I disliked the third episode of What If so much. I want to be able to take Michael Shirley-esque notes about all the things that are wrong with it. All I will say is while you watch it, just know the thing that I kept asking was why. It's not what if. No, it's why. Why are you telling this story? This stupid, tedious, dull story. Anyway, but no spoilers. So I'm excited to be able to talk about that next week. We'll be back at our normal time of 2 p.m. Eastern. No, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. And then we'll be making a schedule adjustment thereafter, but we'll talk about that next week, mostly because we don't have it figured out yet. But so please join us. Ghost points out that Brett Allen was a member of Jackie Chan's stunt team, and then also I know he worked on this movie, but I saw him a picture of him when I looked him up, and I thought that he was actually in this movie, and maybe he has a small part. Kemi Egan, I have definitely been talking about how I feel about this third episode, and I just as much as I want everybody to see Shang-Chi and enjoy it with us, is I really want everybody to see episode 3 of What If and hate it. But it's fine if you don't. Come for the love. Stay for just the bitter resentment. That's
Eric likes to say, come for the wig, or come for the wisdom, stay for the wigs.
Exactly. And if people want that kind of wisdom, Eric, where can they find you?
Well, you can call me by many names, and you can find me just a few places. Count Eric Connor over on the Twitter, over on the Instagram, and on the Facebook. It's Eric Adam Connor. And other voices still hanging out on Amazon.com until every single one of you rents or buys it. And a big shout out, of course, to my stupid ass Comic-Con purchase, Robert Cop 2, right here. Official, I think the most meta collectible of all time, something that is mocking a ripoff of an existing toy. So my hat's off to whoever thought of this brilliance. It was totally worth the dollars I spent on it.
Exactly. And Jeff, if people want to catch up with you, where do they do that?
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me at Jeff Will Jr. to continue all the conversations and talk about all the great things that's happening on What If.
And Michael, if people want to find you, where do they do that?
Oh, no one wants to find me.
That's not true.
Tease them.
Yeah. You can find me at I Hate Michael Shirley and on Twitter at Michael X Shirley.
Exactly. And if you're like Michael and you follow X-Men writer extraordinaire Chris Claremont on Instagram, you saw that he did a signing over the weekend, and someone had given him a stuffed Lockheed that was accompanying him on his shirt. So if you love Michael and you find that Lockheed, you can go ahead and you can figure out a way to ship it to him. If you want to keep in touch with me, I am at Christian DMZ. Please subscribe to the Blackcast YouTube channel, BLADTCAST, and you'll get this show. You'll get Biden time, where we don't have much to talk about tomorrow, but we'll figure out something. And of course, the titular Blattcast, where we're clocking in at a brisk 448 episodes, about to celebrate 450. So please. And I now realize we need to do a Ray Bradbury themed episode 451. So now I got to get to work on that. But until next week, as the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!